What's up, y'all? So we kind of had a weird situation the other day, and I'm kind of curious as to what you would end up doing in this same situation. So we had a couple of guys come in that wanted to buy a mortise cylinder, and when they came in, he laid out the drilled out cylinder on our counter, and I kind of raised my eyebrows. It was a aluminum storefront cylinder that the threads had been stripped on, and the core had been completely drilled out exactly, I might add. So this is not something that was not a first time situation. But as a retail locksmith with a storefront, we do have people come in here that do all sorts of things as far as repairs on businesses or whatever. So it's not unheard of for this to happen. So he asked for a replacement cylinder, but he wanted five of them, and I kind of raised my eyebrows like, what? There were two guys, and they were talking back and forth with each other. I didn't understand what they were saying, but I think they were counting up doors. And he said that he needed five in boxes of 2 key alike, and it was obvious that he knew how they came. He knew that they came 2 key alike in a box, and kind of was like, yeah, we need them for different doors. And I said, well, I may not have five all to the same type of key. And he's like, I don't care about that. I just want, sets of cylinders keyed alike. And again, we've got a drilled out cylinder here. So I was kind of like, okay, well, they're not going to be the same key, but I can, put that together for you. We sell them with spacers. Do you need spacers with them? And they said, yeah. So I went and got the 5 sets with some, my spacer ring kit. And that's when they decided they needed 9. So this is 18 cylinders that we're getting hit with all of a sudden, and I'm like, okay, well, still, are you putting these in stores? Why do you not care about them not being keyed a certain way? And we often have our contractor guys come in buying different things, but they always want them keyed a specific way. This was just literally wants the keys that come with them. So I was just like, okay, well, I can dig up 4 more, or 8 more total, 4 more sets, and I put it all together. And by this time, they were calling somebody on the phone. The other guy kept coming in and out the door, talking to somebody on the phone, and they were like, hold on, let me get the credit card number for you. And we were like, no, immediately no. We're not going to take a credit card over the phone for something like this. There's too much credit card theft. And as a merchant, you're not really protected if you take a credit card over the phone compared to having a physical card. So we were like, no, you can't. We're not going to accept a credit card number. While we do that for certain orders, we wouldn't do it in this situation just because of the amount. And it kind of started ringing bells with me of like, all the emails that we get is that, if you're a locksmith company, one day you'll get emails, if you haven't already, and we've done videos on it, where the scammers are using credit cards to try to order multiple of one type of item, and they'll send you like an Amazon titled linked listing saying, we want 30 of these, we want 50 of these. The really bold ones will be like, we want 300 of these, and they're all scams. They're all stolen credit cards. What happens is you send them out with this credit card that goes through, and then it gets canceled because it's a stolen card a day later, and you're out the product, and then you're out the money, and they turn around and resell the product. So always be cautious of credit card scams. No, the rich guy in Egypt or wherever is not going to bless you with millions of dollars either, just in case you're curious. But anyway, it's kind of weird that they would physically do this. The problem with the locksmith world now, for all intents and purposes, these guys could be going for a company and going around and putting in new locks at like gas stations or hotels or any other convenience store, or even like cell phone store, stuff like that. They could be being sent around to do that, and in all intents and purposes, that may have been what they were, but it was just kind of weird that they had a perfectly drilled out cylinder, and we were just like, well, if you're not going to give us a credit card for it, or a number over the phone, but you can scan it. So they were like, well, hey, can we do a tap thing with our phone? Presumably they were transferring money into an account to cover it or unfreezing it. Nowadays, a lot of people will go to scan their credit card and be like, oh shoot, I forgot to unlock it. So it didn't go through the first time, and we were like, okay, now this is like $400+, and there's any number of reasons why a credit card transaction or Apple Pay or however they were doing it with their phone would not go through. It being, kind of a higher end purchase. There's any number of reasons why it couldn't go through, so we always say, let's clear it and try again. So did that 3 times in a row. None of the times we went through, and by this time we were just like, no, you can go get cash. That's the only way we're gonna sell the product, is if you go get cash, because when it was going through, he kept saying it was pending, but and he actually showed us the phone, and it had other charges pending. So I don't know what was going on with the whole situation. Aside from just being a retail locksmith and having people come in that do that all the time, it just seemed kind of weird. And we were like, well, he seemed like he needed it. They needed it to go do work or whatever. And I was just like, he's like, can you keep it boxed up for me and I'll be back? And we were like, yeah, I guess so. So they left, and we called actually another storefront locksmith around here that would have the same amount of stock. And we were like, hey, did somebody just come in? 2 guys just come in trying to buy a bunch of mortar cylinders. Just curious as to whether they had been hit before, and also to warn them if they showed up to buy mortar cylinders to not fall for a possibly stolen credit card. I don't know 100% whether it was a stolen credit card or if they just couldn't get the app or whatever they were using. I don't know. We don't take Venmo or anything like that, so it had to be something that our credit card processor accepted, Apple Pay or something. I don't know. What do you think? It's one of those situations where I almost don't want to sell them the product, period. Based on this a lot on this, kind of an out-of-state thing. They had mentioned that they were not in the area. And in our trade, it's very prevalent with scammers where they have these they sign up with these 1-800 numbers, and they move from town to town or state to state even, and, stay in one area for a couple of months, absorb all these calls that these 1-800 companies that, flood locksmith listings with these. And I feel like it was more that than more like a credit card scammer, and maybe the quote boss that they were talking to on the phone was that same company, and that's why the things were getting rejected. I have no idea. All I know is the biggest kind of problem, not really the biggest problem because we can always sell cylinders, but while this was all going down, it was like almost time for me to get an order in, and I was putting an order in, and I had to get it in before 1 o'clock, so I added more cylinders to replace the cylinders that I, quote, was about to sell, because if I get the order in before 1 o'clock, it saves a little bit of money, and this was happening right at 1 o'clock, and I didn't get the order through until 1:03. It made me miss out, I think, on a little extra of that because I was trying to key in the missing cylinders. I didn't have the cylinders on the order, but I don't know. What do you think? If they showed back up, would you sell them for cash, or would you just refuse them and say no? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments.